All right, top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on. We are back again. All right, a moment of silence again for all those who have lost their lives. Let's remember this: if we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. With that being said, all right. The sound is back in the background. Let's do the share on this and let's get right back into it. We're going to get right back into it. We go. Let me do the share on this. And okay. What happened was, again, everybody, let's remember this. We can look up, we can get up, we can get up, we can go up. Updates happen today, and Windows oftentimes push out updates prematurely. My assumption is they're still using C and other programming language to develop their software applications. However, what happens when you push out premature updates to these software programs is often the coding, the programming language is buggy. That means you need to check for errors and check compatibility across multiple platforms. So we get issues. Windows, do that, yeah. Do some old school, old fashioned checking for problematic programming errors in your code. All right. Now, having said that, let's get to this music and get right back off into this.
Explain myself. What y'all know about yourself?
Hey, Lee.
See, this is X Factor. He took the sample. My shit is plastic. Here's an example of how we slice it up on the rhythm. So many wanna slice it up on the rhythm. See, this is X Factor. We took the sample. My shit is plastic. Here's an example of how we slice it up on the rhythm. So many wanna slice it up on the rhythm. You know, I'm only here till another. Got in the plane so I can go and another. Ripped up jeans and a Balenciaga mama. With dreads and who like to sing Santa Sagana. I'm in the short natural like a Lolo Falana. Bird true lions, code name Black Madonna. Preacher girl ain't got a headgear from Guatemala. With no bars like my backyard is Wakanda. Cause I can say what is watch fashion, we go bananas. Watch fashion, we go bananas. Watch fashion, we go bananas. I think original, I've heard the paradigm. Call me the retake, call me the mastermind. See how I slice it up on this rhythm. So many wanna slice it up on this rhythm. I think original, I've heard the paradigm. So many, see how we slice it up on the rhythm. Slice it up on the rhythm. So stop acting like you didn't grow up singing my songs. I swoop down on the pitch like I had wings on my own. Transcendent, speak truth like I wrote the amendments. Sorry if you're offended, it's the truth in my veins. Birds, bees, and trees will probably tell you the same. Mention my name is the same. They got things in my brain. How she should do the thing, how she should raise the plane. Conquer before we came, we conquer before we came. Emojis in all flames. And the game was never the same. And the game was never the same. And I'm the original. I've heard the paradigm. Call me the red tape color, call me the master. See how we slice it up on this rhythm. So many wanna slice it up on this rhythm. See, this is X Factor. He took the sample. My shit is classic. Here's an example of how we slice it up on this rhythm. So many wanna slice it up on this rhythm. See, this is X Factor. He took the sample. My shit is classic. Here's an example of how we slice it up on this rhythm. So many wanna slice it up on this rhythm. Now this is X Factor. He took the sample. This shit is classic. Here's an example of how we slice it up on this rhythm. Wanna slice it up on this rhythm.
Some of you all are out there taking samples, but this is how I splice it up. This is classic. Woo, y'all trying to slice it up, but I'm gonna spice it up for you. Real forensics. Other people be out here talking about, I'm showing you forensics. Some people are showing real digital forensics and others are not. But the truth will catch up to the others. And like I said, when you have to go to court for real, and when you're litigating for real, all that other goofy stuff that I've seen throughout the years is not admissible in court. And when you hit the courts in the United States of America, everything can be challenged. I didn't come out here to play. We don't have time for games. Okay. There's a time and place for everything. When I'm on here, it's about that business. Now, let's get back into the business of listening to this Rittenhouse trial. Hey, Patch. Thank you, Patch. How you doing? Bushes, let me speak. I see you. Bushes. Thanks, Patch. Yeah, how you been doing, Sour Patch? Hopefully everything is okay with you. All right, so let's get back off into this. Remember, we just got finished talking about digital forensics. And as it pertains to the court of law. Now, what do we know over here? Authentication is important. Okay, what are you authenticating? That means you have a copy from the original, an original source of information. A bit by bit copy, a copy, bit by bit from whatever electronic device the information is coming from. We don't just want images. We want bit by bit copies. We want to make sure algorithms, especially when we're dealing with hardware devices, are captured bit per bit. We don't just want image copies because image copies don't always capture everything. Okay. Also, what are we talking about? Data integrity, data integrity, data integrity. Now, in both of these trials, in Kyle's trial as well as my Arbery's trial, what has been coming up consistently is a objection or objecting to the emission of electronically stored information that comes from these digital devices, these electronics, right? So we have to make sure authentication, data integrity, all of that. If it's done in advance, then it should be admissible in a court of law, even though some of counsels will still attempt to challenge, as we have seen tonight. Now, having said that, what also have we seen? Kyle Rittenhouse. What is his defense team thinking? I would not have had my client take the stand. He has been breaking down, and maybe they did it for him to humanize himself. However, if he's been utilizing his Fifth Amendment right all along not to self-incriminate, why would you open your client up? Maybe it's a strategy to get his sentencing reduced and to humanize him before the jurors. However, this is looking a certain way from my perspective. I don't know how the jurors are reading into this, but they've seen the video footage over and over of him shooting people. He shot the man 4 times. The first time he could have, even if he was claiming self-defense, he shouldn't have had the gun in the first place because he was a minor. And the judge had to come back and tell the jurors, ignorance of the law is not a defense, period. But when he shot him 3 more times, that was overkill. Now you're moving off into beyond your defense's argument of self-defense. You're moving over into some premeditating type intentional stuff after that first shot. So let's pick back up where we left off at. Hey, Sour Patch, how you doing? You chilling and eating, huh, Letha? Okay, so we get back off into it. And we're picking back up from...
I'm going to move that TV in front centrally. We're going to watch exhibit number 82. This is a version of the drone footage that was introduced by our expert, James Armstrong, yesterday. And I'd like to be able to put this TV centrally so everybody can see it. So if you could let us know if you're able to see it when we move it, please.
So he's showing the drone footage again. But remember that drone footage, the FBI submitted some info. They was up there and doing some drone capturing. And so they ran that evidence and it was annotated by the forensic imaging expert yesterday. He did the annotation.
Judge, may I use Sister Marciana's point, please?
And when the FBI up in the air with their tools, you already know that they can probably see down to the crevices of your backside. And I said I would turn up tonight, so here it is. When the FBI is using those forensic tools, digital forensic tools to capture you, that artificial intelligence and everything else, they can probably see down up into the crevices of someone's backside.
I'm going to direct your attention to this location, which is at the front end of the Duramax. There's an individual here on the side.
Oh, I'm sorry, Letha, you said you was eating.
Wheelchair, and there's a little bit of a gap there between that individual and the Duramax. And I'd like you to keep your eyes on that location. Before we begin the video, Mr. Rittenhouse, are you able to see this video okay?
Yes.
The drone footage from the FBI that the forensic imaging expert annotated and cleared up. Video footage. Well, he just cleared up the images within the video footage. Cleared up sections of the video footage, I can't say, and then cleared up, submitted still shots from this footage.
Could we please play that again? I'm going to have you
And
pause
enhance
at a moment right
some
at the
of
beginning.
them. This is not the iPhone footage that they were debating over.
Now, Mr. Rittenhouse, you told us earlier everything that you did when you first got to this location, correct?
Yes.
What you didn't tell us is that right here on the video, you have your gun raised, don't you?
I can't see it.
You know what? This is a nice 4K TV. I'm going to turn it a little bit towards
1 to
you.
10 length, if I was to rate the state, I want to wait till they finish. They're proving their
Are you able to
point.
see that screen okay?
I don't think all
And the
viewers can
defense
see
is
it now.
coming right back
I want to be able to play it
to
for the
create
defense to be able to
reasonable
see it.
doubt.
I understand.
However,
I'm just thinking
today,
if perhaps he
for
could,
me,
take the chair, the office.
when Kyle Rittenhouse took the stand for me,
And do you want to go over there
I
as well?
said,
Would you,
the defense done
would
messed
it be
up.
easier,
You know
Mr.
you
Rittenhouse,
messed
if
up,
you
right?
came and stood a little closer to that screen?
Is that the same definition?
Well, you know, and you're using the pointer.
Let me pause for a minute,
so we want to
Lisa,
all
since
be
you
looking at
said
the same
rated.
TV.
Okay.
From 1 to 10, if I have to rate the state, I'll say this. You know, everybody was all in a tizzy when when they witnessed that came in for the state said, yes, Kyle Rittenhouse was, he thought from his perspective, Kyle Rittenhouse was using self-defense. And everybody was all in a tizzy frenzy. I said, no, it's going to go back to the law. The bottom line is this. And, you know, people say, well, jurors don't really even factor in or think about the law. But the bottom line is this. Kyle Rittenhouse was underage. Prosecutors drilled that home. He ain't had no business with the gun in there in the first place. Prosecutors drilled that home. Prosecutors getting ready to drill home again now that he's taken a stand. The fact that the prosecutors have had Kyle Rittenhouse admitting to a lot of things that he should have been silent on. He didn't cross his own stuff and told on his own stuff on the witness stand, self-incriminating. As a defense attorney, I never ever would have had my client take that stand. Not in a case like this. You've been utilizing the Fifth Amendment all along. I'm gonna need you to sit down and zip your lips. Hush. Because the prosecutor's getting ready to come back right now. I mean, as soon as Kyle took the stand, I said, what? They getting ready to tear him to shreds. I said, they're gonna tear him to shreds. Why would you open your client up like that? For what? Let the WW SmackDown verbally begin. While he's sitting up there telling on himself, here we go. They gave the prosecutors a lot to close with. No.
Would it be appropriate for Mr. Rittenhouse to come
Sure.
stand closer to the TV? That'd
As
be
long as
okay.
he doesn't block the jurors, he and Mr. Richards can go over here.
All right,
and,
let's. I'll move this back.
Stand right down there if you would, please.
Let's go back to the beginning of the video, please. I'm going to tell you when to pause.
Don't watch that one. We can't see. Well,
Defense, why would you have him take the stand? Like,
All right, let's start the video. Pause. Mr. Rittenhouse, you just came into the screen, put the fire extinguisher down, and now you've got your weapon raised, don't you? Let's play it one more time.
you know you done messed up.
Mr. Rittenhouse, can you see in that video that you've raised your weapon and pointed it at someone?
Boy, you know you done messed up now.
Let's play it one more time.
Your Honor, he's asked.
He said he couldn't see it.
He says he can't see, so I'm trying to help him see. Go ahead. Pause. Pause the video.
Prosecutor is upset now. He's like, all this stuff is going on today. The judge just went off on me.
It doesn't look like I raised my rifle. It looks like my shoulders up, but my rifle.
That's you with the gun, right? Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
All right.
Again, I don't know what the defense strategy was for having him take the stand, but I would not have had take the stand.
So your testimony today under oath is that you have no memory of raising and pointing your rifle when you first got to that location. Is that right?
Yes.
You see yourself put the fire extinguisher down.
I see myself drop it. Yes.
Let's play Exhibit 84 now, please.
They playing this footage back, and this has been authenticated. So they can't talk about data integrity on this.
Go ahead and play.
They got their stuff authenticated.
Pause. In this video, at this point, Mr. Rittenhouse, you have turned around and you are pointing your weapon at Mr. Rosenbaum, correct?
Yes.
And there's a point. Let's continue the video, please.
Why y'all having big stand? Even though he murdered somebody, the burden of proof was on the state. What? Why? Not a smart move for the defense, from my perspective.
All right, let's pause. Go back and.
They
start the
tore him
video
up today,
again,
Letha. That's right. I would have my client hush.
Pause. Can you go back about half a second, please? Go back just a little bit more, please. Why don't you go back to the beginning, hit play, and I'll try and pause you a little bit better.
Defense attorneys, maybe y'all trying to get his sentence reduced or humanize him.
Pause. There's a point where Mr. Rosenbaum is running after you, where he raises his hands and leaps up in the air, correct?
I wouldn't say he leaped in the air. I'd say he continued to run at me. He just threw his hands up.
He threw both of his hands up in the air, right?
Yes.
And you could see that he was unarmed, correct?
Yes.
But you said he was armed earlier. You thought he was armed. See, that's why you don't have your client when the burden of proof is not on you or your client. Take the stand.
Pause.
You open them up.
Joseph Rosenbaum never touched you in any way
He get
during
ready.
that incident.
He getting ready.
correct?
He touched my gun.
He didn't touch your body in any way, did he?
No.
He didn't kick you?
No.
He didn't punch you?
No.
Other than that plastic bag, he didn't throw anything at you?
No.
He didn't have a gun on him?
No.
He didn't have a knife on him?
No.
He didn't have a chain on him?
No.
He didn't have a bat on him?
No.
He didn't have any weapon of any kind, correct?
Other than him grabbing my gun, no.
Well, he didn't have possession of that gun. You did, correct?
I was holding it, yes.
And it was strapped to your body, correct?
Yes.
At all times during this incident, you retained possession of your AR-15, correct?
Yes.
Can we please play exhibit, I apologize, Brian, I don't know if I mentioned this one earlier. I think it's 83.
Defense
It's the
attorneys,
full-speed
why
version of
would
what
you
we
have
just
your
saw.
client take the stand?
That was 84 just now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play 83, please.
He ain't Tupac. He ain't a finisher career. He's not a Black Panther, former Black Panther man.
Mr. Rittenhouse, while you're watching this video, I'd like you to
He ain't got
tell me
no
if you see
comeback.
Mr. Rosenbaum jump up in the air with his hands up,
Oh,
Okay.
goodness. I don't know what the defense strategy is, but Letha right now,
Go ahead and play.
when Kyle took that stand from me, my perspective is prosecutors getting ready to walk the street with his
All right, pause. Can we go back to the beginning, please?
behind.
And play again.
Getting ready to walk him. Straight walk him. Watch.
Pause. Right before Mr. Rosenbaum disappears behind that car, did you see him jump up in the air with his hands out?
No, I saw him.
Hey, Monica, how
do
you
something
doing?
Like this.
Hey,
like,
Mo.
That was a reaction to you pointing the gun at him, correct?
Yes, but he kept running at me, so it didn't deter him.
But it slowed him down a little bit. He does this sort of jump with his hands in the air when you're pointing the gun at him, right?
No, he continues to gain speed on me.
Okay. Now let's play Exhibit 86, please.
That privilege done messed up today, Monica. As soon as he took that stand the other day, I said, this messed up. Then he did that panic attack or whatever crying today. I said, still messed up. Should have cried after you murdered somebody. Or you shot him. You should have laid out in the floor then.
All right, pause it. Did you slow down?
Did I?
Yeah.
I turned around, and I may have slowed down a little bit.
It looks like you slowed down before you even turned around.
That reality
Yes.
hit.
You've characterized Mr. Rosenbaum as advancing on you, speeding up towards you, but you actually slowed down, didn't you?
Because of the people around the cars, yes.
But
He getting ready to tear him up.
after the shooting, you run around those cars and head back towards the direction you originally wanted to go to, right?
Yes.
So those people didn't stop that, did they?
They weren't there after I shot Mr. Rosenbaum.
They scattered after you fired your gun 4 times, didn't they?
Yes, they weren't there anymore.
And you've heard Dr. Kelly's testimony that the first gunshot from you to Mr. Rosenbaum caused Mr. Rosenbaum to start falling to the ground. Did you hear that testimony?
I did.
And then you continued to fire 3 more shots into him after that, didn't you?
I continued to fire until
It's a
he
wrap.
was no longer a threat to me.
When he's falling to the ground in front of you, he's no longer a threat to you. His pelvis is broken, right?
I don't know.
But he's fallen to the ground, isn't he?
I saw him ledging towards my gun, and I remember his hand on the barrel of my gun.
Because he was trying to push it out of the way so you wouldn't shoot him.
Jackson, close perspective of the shoot.
Sustained.
What was the risk to you of death or great bodily harm at the moment you killed Joseph Rosenbaum?
If I would have let Mr. Rosenbaum take my firearm from me, he would have used it and killed me with it and probably killed more people if I would have let him get my gun.
Mr. Rosenbaum never said anything to you about taking your gun, did he?
He didn't say anything, but he tried to take my gun.
And whoever's got that gun is a threat to everyone else?
If he would have taken my gun, he would have used it
Speculate.
against me.
That's speculation.
Let's break that down. First of all, you had already prevented him from taking your gun by running away and doing that little dip and dodge that Mr. McGinnis talked about, right?
He was still coming after my gun.
But you could have kept running. You could
No,
have turned back around like you did, couldn't you?
No, I couldn't have.
You have the gun strapped to your body at this moment, correct?
Yes.
The strap is designed to keep that on your body so it doesn't come off, correct?
To help retain it, yes.
And you have both hands on the gun, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Rosenbaum has never said anything at all about wanting your gun. You never heard him say anything about that, correct?
I haven't.
You never said anything, he never said anything to you about using that gun at all, correct?
I don't know what Mr. Rosenbaum was thinking when he tried to grab my gun.
You just assumed that he was going to use it, that he was going to try and take it from you, first of all, and then you assumed he was going to try and use it on you.
If I would have let Mr. Rosenbaum get my gun, he would have killed me.
But you had already pointed your gun at him.
Yes, because he was chasing me.
Did you want him to think that you were going to shoot him?
No, I never wanted to shoot Mr. Rosenbaum.
Why'd you point it at him if you didn't have any intention of shooting?
He was chasing me. I was alone. He threatened to kill me earlier in that night. I didn't want to have to shoot him.
But you understand how dangerous it is to point a gun at someone, don't you?
I pointed at him because he kept running at me, and I didn't want him to chase me.
But you understand how dangerous that is, don't you?
I pointed at him because he was chasing me.
I'll ask the question a third time, Mr. Rittenhouse. You understand
Don't comment. Just ask your question.
The judge has been going off.
You understand how dangerous it is to point a gun at someone, correct?
Yes.
You understand that that puts someone else in fear
Or for their life.
that they're about to be killed, right?
That's not what he asked you.
He was chasing me.
You understand that when you point your AR-15 at someone else, that may make them feel like they are about to be killed by you, correct?
Mr. Rosenbaum
You're not
was
answering the
chasing me.
question.
He said he was going to kill me if he got me alone. I was alone. I was running from him. I pointed at him, and it didn't stop him from continuing to chase me.
Did you hear my question?
Yes.
Yet you chose not to answer it.
Objection, Your Honor. He answered. He just didn't like the answer.
My question is, you understand that when you point your AR-15 at someone, it may make them feel like you're going to kill them, correct?
Calls for speculation. Relevant.
He asked if it would affect someone that way so as to perhaps deter the person.
Answer the question.
Do you understand my question?
I do.
Can you please answer?
I did. I said, Mr. Rosenbaum was chasing me. I pointed my gun at him, and that did not deter him. He could have ran away instead of trying to take my gun from me. But he kept chasing me. It didn't stop him.
Mr. Rittenhouse, you're telling us that you felt like you were about to die, right?
Yes.
But when you point the gun at someone else, that's going to make them feel like they're about to die, right? That's what you wanted him to feel.
No.
You wanted him to get the message from you that if you come any closer, I'm going to kill you. That's why you pointed the gun at him, right?
I pointed the gun at him to deter him from... I pointed the gun at him so he would stop chasing me. That's why I pointed the gun at him.
Because if you point the gun at him, you were hoping he would stop chasing you because he would get the message from you that if he keeps coming, you're going to kill him, right?
I didn't want to have to kill Mr. Rosenbaum.
But you did. And that's not what he asked you.
That's not the question I asked. You, the
It's badger. It's serving no legitimate purpose.
It seems argumentative,
I
Mr.
can't hear Mr. Richards' objection.
He said it serves no useful purpose, it's badgering. It does seem argumentative.
And that's his mama crying. You know what? Let me hush.
You intended, in that sequence we just saw, you intended to point your gun back at Mr. Rosenbaum in the middle of the parking lot, right?
I pointed at him so he would stop chasing me, but he didn't stop.
That was your intentional decision to point at him. That wasn't an accident.
I'm going to interrupt here. The jury cannot see you.
I thought we'd moved it. I'm sorry.
No, so please get it out of there.
You know what? Let me pause right here. Let me pause right here for a minute. Now let me do my commentate real quick and then we're going to go back. I'll go back to the defense. I don't know what y'all's strategy was for having them take their stand. But there is no way on God's green earth and under this sun and under the moon that I would have had my client take the stand. The burden of proof is on the prosecutors. Why would you have your client get up there and take the stand? Like I said, maybe it's a strategy for you all to get his sentence reduced and to humanize him. And so the jurors can hear from him directly and gander more compassion. However, it's a 99% that when that person takes the stand, the prosecution is going to wipe their behinds all over the street in the courtroom. Figuratively speaking, they're going to mop their butts up on the stand and in the court. Then his mom breaks down and cries. Excuse me, I would have told him he not taking a stand. Don't you get your butt up there. You've been quiet all along. Fifth Amendment, sit your tail down and be quiet. Let them prove whatever they're going to prove without you helping. Sit your butt down and hush. Shucks. If you ain't listened to me no other time, listen to me now. I said a few weeks ago, weeks ago when a neighbor of mine smacked her nephew across the face because he took the stand and the burden of proof was not on the defense and he was on the defense side and it was on the prosecutor. She slapped him right in the court for getting up there, taking that stand. Now, this was her nephew. She smacked him right up in their courtroom. I'm not saying smack this boy in the courtroom. What I am saying is don't take the stand. Burden of proof is not on you. It's on the prosecutors. I don't understand what the strategy was. And he getting his behind wiped up in that courtroom on that stand. And his mom breaking down, crying, lady, You're gonna have many nights you cry. That's all I can say. My,
The point I'm trying to
My
get at,
child,
Mr.
sit your
Rittenhouse,
butt
is
down.
that wasn't like an accidental
getting ready to
turning
wipe your
around
butt
and it
up
just
and
happens
stand
to be
now.
pointing in his direction, much like I'm just happen to, wave this around. You made an intentional decision in the middle of that incident to turn and point the gun at Mr. Rosenbaum, correct?
Yes.
And you can understand why that would make someone fearful for their life, right?
But he continued to chase me after, so no, I can't.
It didn't work.
It didn't stop Mr. Rosenbaum from chasing me.
And even after you shoot him one time and he starts falling, you continue to shoot
And that's where
3
he
more
got
times,
your buddy again.
right?
I continued to shoot until he was no longer a threat to me.
And then after that, you run around and he's lying there, face down on the ground, correct?
Yes.
And you're a medic, correct?
I have first aid training, yes.
Well, you proclaimed yourself that night to be a medic, an EMT. You told everyone that, right?
Yes.
And you had your medic bag with you, correct?
Yes.
And this location is right across the street from a hospital, isn't it?
Yes.
But your first thought was run away.
My first thought was to help him.
You didn't do anything to help him. You didn't do a single thing, did you?
The crowd started to scream, "Get him, get him, get him." And I didn't want to stay there with the crowd building and the mob advancing on me.
Were you surprised that a crowd would react that way when they just saw you shoot someone?
I don't know.
When you stood over Mr. Rosenbaum's body, did you know?
I'm
You knew the defense was gonna say objection. I
Go
objected
ahead.
to y'all letting him
When
on
you
that
stood
stand.
over Mr. Rosenbaum's
What type
body,
of strategy is this?
did you know whether he was dead or alive?
I didn't.
Did you know whether or not it was possible at that moment to try and save him?
I wanted to help Mr. Rosenbaum. And if the crowd wouldn't have started screaming to get him, get him,
And
get
he
him,
getting ready
I would
to
have
wipe
stayed
your
and did
behind up again.
everything I could to help Mr. Rosenbaum, but the crowd just started to chase me and scream at me.
Let's play, can we have exhibit 14, please?
And before they play Exhibit 14, I got something to say again. I said I was gonna be fired up tonight. You was crying earlier, or you had a panic attack earlier, whatever. And again, to the defense attorneys, I don't know what type of strategy y'all working, but why would you have your client take the stand knowing dog on where the prosecutors, and this is just one prosecutor because others are there, was gonna wipe his behind with letting the record show and the facts on that stand. Again, if I were an attorney, and I did start off when I graduated from high school, going to school for law. I already explained why I did other things. There is no possible way that I would have my client, if I'm the defense attorney, get up on the doggone stand because the burden of proof is on the prosecutors. I don't care how you think they fumbled to seal a deal on your case with the other witness that came in, which could have been a witness for the prosecutors or the defense. But there's no possible way that I would have him on the stand. Sit your butt off to the side and hush and stay off social media. That's what my client would have been doing. I need you to zip your lips. You can be as expressive as you want to, sitting in that seat writing, silent, because I don't need you to get up there and self-incriminate. But what has he done? Since he's been up there, he's been self-incriminating. Should have stuck with the Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself. I don't know what type of strategy the defense team is working, but like I said, maybe they're trying to get his sentence reduced. Maybe they're trying to gain them more compassion. But the defense is getting ready to wipe his behind with the facts again. And you made your client look stupid when the defense told him you shot him one time. He was on the ground. And then you shot him 3 more times and you claim it's self-defense? What? They wanted him to take a stand. His mom over there crying. I don't know what like I said, she's gonna have many days she cried. And he was up there crying, but you should have cried the day you shot him. You should have fell out right after you shot him and rolled all over the ground like you was in shock, and I'm not trying to be funny or facetious. Now it's on and popping. Here we go. He getting ready to break your butt down again. Defense. Why would you have him take the stand? Makes absolutely no sense. It's asinine. This is an asinine decision. Now I don't care who don't agree with it and who don't like it. Just here we go.
At the 3 hour, 58 minute, and 45 second mark,
I don't know if this was their strategy for him not to get life in prison or what, but this ain't working. This ain't working. Rule of thumb, never have your client take the stand when you on the defense side. Make the state prove. The burden of proof is on them, not you. What? You open your client up. Your client is wide open. Letha, I don't care if he did want to testify. Monica, you saying this is short? I don't care. I would have said you not testifying if I'm representing you. I'll walk up off this case. You ready to wipe you up? Here you go.
So the orders you hear about yelling no cameras, them is white boys. That's Antifa, man. Oh, we got a gun, baby.
And unfortunately, black people used to people being shot.
After you
It's unfortunate.
fired your 4 shots at Mr. Rosenbaum, there were 3 more gunshots right after that, right?
Yes.
And those were coming from very close to where you were, weren't they?
Yes.
They were coming from right here on the south side of the 63rd Street car source, right alongside 63rd Street on the north side of 63rd, right?
Yes.
You didn't react at all to those gunshots, did you?
At that time, my audio was still going in and out partially.
But again, my question is, you didn't react at all to those, did you?
Not that I can see.
Okay, let's continue, please.
And this is why you don't have him take the stand.
Shot him, man. Shot him. Shot him, man. He laid him out. He laid him out, Bob. He laid him out.
If I were representing him as a client, I would have said, if you take that stand, that's going to be the end of this. I will walk up off this case.
Pause.
I sure would.
No one in that crowd yells, "Get him," or anything threatening towards you until after you start running away, right?
No.
You had time in that moment to make a phone call, didn't you?
I called Dominic Black, yes.
You could have called
Right.
911, right?
See? Yeah.
Yes.
But you chose to call your best friend, right?
I called the first number on my phone.
Is that quicker than 3 digits, 911?
I don't know.
And then you started running.
Yes.
And the first person you encounter as you're running is Jason Lakowski, correct?
Yes.
This is a person that you had barely known for 15 minutes that night, right?
Yes.
And you told him you didn't shoot anyone, correct?
No.
You heard his testimony about that, right?
Yes.
One of y'all lying.
Can we please play exhibit
But he getting
number
ready to play
12?
it back for you. Let the record show. That's why you don't have your client take the stand when the burden of proof is on the state.
While we're getting that ready, you talked earlier about this crowd and what they were saying, and you felt like they were coming after you. You had time to stop and have a brief little talk with Jason Lakowski, didn't you?
I stopped for a second and asked him to help me get to the police.
Even with this crowd on top of you, as you describe it, you still had time for that, didn't you?
For a second. I stopped for a second.
Let's play exhibit number 12, please.
So there was like 6 shots.
And this don't make no good sense. And they ain't got no common sense up in here, but common sense is not so common.
Back up 10 seconds, please. Go ahead.
And Letha, no, I ain't gonna be biased because I don't care if pink, purple, polka dot, it could be a flea, it could be an ant that was being
Pause.
defended. My client
There are people
would not
in
be
the
taking
crowd
a stand.
that are asking you why you just shot someone, right?
Yes.
And you told him he had a gun.
At the time I was a little dazed and I was thinking of Mr. Zeminski with the pistol he had at the Duramax.
So you shot Mr. Rosenbaum because Joshua Zeminski had a pistol?
No.
You don't get to shoot someone else. You don't get to shoot someone else because someone else has
No.
a gun, right?
No.
But you told the crowd he had a gun, didn't you?
That's what I said.
And that wasn't true. Mr. Rosenbaum never had a gun, right?
He didn't have a gun.
Now, can we please play exhibit number 3?
Like I said,
At the 1 hour, 17 minute.
you
and
just
10
don't let your
second mark?
client self-incriminate. Why? The burden of proof was not on you. It was on the state. Have your clients sit their behinds off to the side and shut their mouth. I would have walked up off this case. So you get your butt on that stand, I will not be defending you. Now stand down and sit it down. And I don't care who I would be defending. They would have to stand down. If the burden of proof is on the state, you let them prove whatever they're going to prove. And you sit your butt off to the side and exercise your constitutional right, your Fifth Amendment right to shut up and remain silent and not self-incriminate. Because you open yourself up for them to walk the dog on you. He walking the street on him. He dog walking him. He dog walking him. Just by letting the record show.
One moment, please.
Walking the street with him. My best slangonomics. He is dog walking him. He's walking the street with that behind up on that stand today. Same way I felt about Robert Sylvester Kelly trial. No, don't take the stand. The same way I feel about every trial. Don't have your client. If you're not a Tupac Shakur or a Fina Shakur or a Black
Facebook
Panther,
live stream.
or if you don't have that type of skill set, sit your butt down.
Hey, what are you doing? You shot somebody? Who shot?
Pause. You told Mr. Grosskreutz you were going to the police, right?
Yes.
And then you said, I didn't shoot anyone, right?
I can't really make out what the last part of the words were saying.
Do you remember what you said?
I remember saying, I think I said I had to.
Let's play that back 10 seconds and play it again, please.
Hey, what are you doing? You shot somebody? Who shot? Who shot?
Pause.
I
Pause.
heard it.
Aren't your exact words, I'm going to the police, I did not shoot anyone?
That's what I remember from that night, but watching that, it sounds like I said I didn't.
Thank you for
That,
your admission
again,
under oath.
Was not true. You just had shot someone, correct?
I did.
Why didn't you tell the truth?
I was being chased by a mob, and I don't really remember that
You
interaction.
get ready to
very well.
walk the dog on your behind again.
Let's
You get
play
ready to
Exhibit
walk the
5,
street on
please.
your behind again with the facts, letting the record show. This is why you don't have your client get their behinds up on the stand when the burden of proof is not on them. Have them sit it down, shut it up, zip their lips, and remain silent. This is when you have them sit it all the way down and hush. Sit down and hush. I don't care what type of privilege they think they got. If I would have been defending him, sit your butt down, right there on the side, hush.
This is the BG on the scene video. Go ahead. Pause.
Uh-huh.
Now, we've heard a lot of testimony about this person who comes up behind you with something and hits you in the head. We've heard about Anthony Huber's first approach to you with his skateboard, correct?
Yes.
You testified that after a few more feet, you felt lightheaded and you stumbled. That's what you told when your attorney was asking you questions, correct?
Yes.
No one knocked you to the ground. You lost your own balance, correct?
I was hit to the point to where I stumbled.
He 18 now,
You
Lisa. He
said
ain't
in
no kid.
response to your attorney's questions that you stumbled because you were lightheaded. Do you remember telling us that?
From getting hit, yes.
You were lightheaded because you had been running and you were being chased. That was why you were lightheaded, right?
That and being hit, yes.
Let's continue. Pause. There is an individual who comes at you and jumps towards you and attempts to kick you, correct?
He does kick me, yes.
And you fire 2 shots directly at him with your AR-15, correct?
Yes.
You intended to hit him with those bullets, correct?
I intended for him, yes.
At that close range, it's a miracle that you missed, right?
I don't know.
You intended to kill him with those shots, didn't you?
No.
Did you even care whether or not those 2 rounds were going to kill him?
I didn't want to have to kill anybody that
That
night.
night.
In this moment, you're making a deliberate decision to pull the trigger twice, correct?
Yes.
That wasn't an accident. That was your conscious decision, wasn't it?
Yes.
And you're firing an AR-15 at close range to this individual, correct?
Yes.
And you knew full well that if you hit him with one or both of those bullets, it could kill him, right?
There's that possibility.
If you hit him with one of those, wouldn't you agree it's a pretty strong likelihood you're going to kill him?
I don't know if
Did that even factor into your mind at that point? Did you even care whether you were going to kill him or not?
I didn't want to have to kill anybody. I was being attacked. That's why I shot him. But shot at him.
You shot at him with the intent of hitting him and killing him, correct?
I didn't want to kill anybody.
Then why are you shooting at someone with an AR-15 at close range if you don't want to kill him?
Because he's attacking me. And he's stomping my face in. Jumping and kicking my face in.
That you didn't see any weapons on that person, did you?
No.
You didn't see a gun.
No.
You didn't see a knife.
No.
You didn't see a bat or a club.
No.
You didn't see a chain.
No.
All he uses is 1 foot, correct?
Yes.
Let's continue the video.
And this is why you don't have a client take the stand.
Pause. You've just shot a round into Anthony Huber's chest, right?
Yes.
Now, up until this moment, and probably for the rest of that evening, you didn't know the name Anthony Huber, did you?
I did not.
Up until this moment in this evening, you had never had any interaction with him, took any notice of him, fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And when you shoot him, he's got his skateboard in his hand?
Yes.
You didn't see any gun in his hand, correct?
No.
You didn't see a knife?
No.
You didn't see a bat?
No.
You didn't see a club?
No.
All he's got is the skateboard, right?
That he's hit me in the head with twice, yes.
Okay. And you intended to pull the trigger at that moment with your AR-15, correct?
Yes.
That wasn't an accident.
No.
That was your deliberate decision, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that the way that gun was positioned, you were going to fire that bullet right into his chest, right?
He was attacking me, so I pulled the trigger.
And you knew that when you pulled that trigger, that bullet was going to go right into his chest, didn't you?
I can't say, I don't know where the bullet would have went exactly.
The end of that gun was pointed directly at his chest when you pulled the trigger, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that, correct?
Yes.
And you still pulled the trigger, didn't you?
Yes.
Because you
www.howdumb can you
intended
be?
to kill Anthony Huber at that moment, didn't you?
No.
www.howdumb
What did you think
How
was going
dumb
to
can you
happen?
be?
then? You got a gun that's aimed directly at his chest. You pull the trigger. What did you think was going to happen?
If I didn't pull the trigger, I thought Mr. Huber was going to kill me.
Maybe I misphrased my question. Let me try again. When you pull the trigger of the AR-15 and it is directly against Anthony Huber's chest, what did you think was going to happen to Anthony Huber?
That he would no longer be a threat to my safety.
Because he'd be dead, right?
Because he wouldn't be a threat to me. I don't know if he'd be dead or not.
Did you even care at that moment whether or not Anthony Huber lived and died?
Yes.
Your only concern in that moment was your own safety, correct?
Yes.
The next shooting is of Gage Grosskreutz.
But
We
you
have
kept
stopped the
shooting.
video at a moment here when he is crouched in front of you with his hands in the air, correct?
Yes.
Your gun is pointed at him, isn't it?
It's pointed downward towards his feet.
It's pointed at his body, some part of his body, correct?
Yes.
And he's no threat to you at this moment, is he?
Objection, Your Honor. He's standing in front of him with a gun.
That's an argument you can make. I'm asking a question of the witness.
You can answer the question.
Yes.
He's no threat to you at this moment, is he?
He is a threat. He has a gun in his hand.
You saw that gun.
Yes.
So at the moment, throughout all of these moments of your interaction with Mr. Grosskreutz, you were aware of the fact that he had that gun in his hand, correct?
Not until that moment.
I'm talking about from this moment on, correct?
Yes.
And of course, that's a handgun, right?
Yes.
And you have an AR-15, correct?
Yes.
And at this particular moment, he's not pointing his gun at you, is he?
Not at that moment.
But you've got your gun pointed at him, correct?
Boy, answer the question.
Looking at the video, I think
Want to get
I'm
on the stand.
lowering my weapon. I think it's just a still shot of where you have it to where that, but I believe in the whole video I'm lowering it, and then he points his gun at me.
The defense, you know you didn't messed up right.
Can you help me understand, Mr. Rittenhouse, why Gage Grosskreutz, with a pistol in his hand, is a threat to kill you, but you, with an AR-15 pointed at him, is not a threat to kill him at this moment? Can you help me understand that?
I've been attacked by several people, and he decided to come and point a gun at my head. Well, first,
He hasn't done that yet, has he?
no.
When it,
So again, I ask
Why
you,
you pointing the gun
in
at
this
him?
moment, you told us Gage Grosskreutz is a threat to you right now.
Yes.
He's got a pistol not aimed at you. You've got an AR-15 aimed at him. Why is he more of a threat to you
you
than
were
you are
him.
to him?
Make it make
Because
sense.
he was moving at me with a gun in his hand.
This is right after you've killed Anthony Huber, correct?
Yes.
Right after you fired 2 shots at almost point-blank range at the man running towards the camera right now and missing him, correct?
Yes.
So make it make sense.
And you're telling us Gage Grosskreutz is the real threat at this moment?
Yes.
But you just shot 2 people and killed, and one of them died.
Can we please
Shot
pull
at
up
one
exhibit
person,
number
missed.
80, beginning at frame
This is why you don't let your
468.
client take the stand when the burden of proof is not on them. This is nonsense and foolishness. Common sense is not so common. I don't know what the defense is thinking.
Exhibit, which consists of, what's the number, 700?
Everybody was saying, we already gonna get time based off of
729
him breaking Wisconsin
frames
law.
from the BG
But-
on the Go video that we just watched. This was prepared by James Armstrong of the State Crime Lab. I'm not going to show all 729, but I'd like to start at frame
You just had him get up there and
468,
incriminate his
and
own
we're going to go
self.
frame by frame from there until frame 500.
Yes, and he's saying yes to How dumb can the
Mr. Stu,
defense
could you
team
please
be?
slowly advance frame by frame until I tell you to stop?
My client would not be taking a stand. People, if the burden of proof is on the state, sit your behind down and hush your mouth. Silence. The absence of sound. Get there and stay there.
Mr. Rittenhouse, this is immediately after Gage Grosskreutz has stopped in front of you and you are doing something with your firearm at that moment. Do you recall that?
Yes.
You were asked some questions about what you were doing
Hey,
at
Al.
that moment. Is it fair to say that you turn your firearm over and you're looking at it, you're examining it?
Yes.
But your testimony is you didn't do anything to actually manipulate it at that moment. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. Please continue. Frame 500 shows you firing your AR-15 towards Gage Grosskreutz. At this particular moment, he does not have that pistol
Pointed at you.
pointed towards you
At all.
does he?
He does.
His left leg has stepped across not directly towards you, but to the side of you, correct?
Yes.
He's reaching in with his left arm towards you, correct?
Yes.
He never steps back and puts the gun in both hands in a ready aim position towards you, does he?
He doesn't do that.
He never takes that gun with his right hand and stands there and holds it out with his right hand in front of him and aims it directly at you, does he?
No, he does this, pointing it directly at my head.
And you thought that's the way he was going to shoot you?
Yeah.
You thought he ran up close to you to shoot you?
Yes.
You understand that he could have taken
He
that
could
gun
have shot
if he
you
wanted to and
at a
shot you
distance.
from 10, 15, 20
That's
feet away,
right.
right?
You shoot. You know he could have shot you at.
Sorry, I'm
a
trying to
distance.
understand the question.
You understand that a pistol like that doesn't need to be right up close to
Sure
someone to
don't.
shoot, right?
Yes.
It can shoot from 10, 15, 20 feet away, right?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskreutz could have stopped 10, 15, 20 feet away if he wanted to shoot you and fired his pistol at you, couldn't he have?
He could have, but he didn't.
And your testimony is that you believed he ran up close to you and reached in with his left hand with his gun in his right hand because that was his way of using this gun to shoot you?
Yes.
Did you think he was reaching in to grab your gun?
No.
You didn't think he was going to take your gun away, did you?
I thought he was going to shoot
He
me.
could have shot
his
you in a
pistol.
distance.
Yes.
Which he never actually does.
If he was going to
Correct.
get you,
Correct.
He never fires that gun at you at all.
No.
In fact, in this entire sequence of events, no one ever fired a gun at you, did they?
nobody.
Mr. Zeminski fired a gun from behind me.
Did Mr. Zeminski fire that gun at you?
I believe so.
What do you base that on? Did you see it?
The video.
Did you see it?
No.
You're talking about back when the incident with Mr. Rosenbaum happens, correct?
Yes.
That happened while you and Mr. Rosenbaum are running across the car source lot, correct?
Yes.
At that moment in time, you didn't see Joshua Zeminski fire a shot, did you?
No.
You heard a gunshot, right?
Yes.
But you had no idea who fired it.
I believed it was Mr. Zeminski.
Boy, you didn't see him.
So
You just
that
said you didn't see him.
gunshot
Stop.
did not at all factor into your decision to kill Joseph Rosenbaum, did it?
No, Mr. Rosenbaum trying to steal my gun did.
So you didn't think that was a gunshot from Joseph Rosenbaum?
No.
You knew he didn't have a gun?
Wait a minute. Oh, I see what your question
Oh,
is.
you don't know what the question is, Judge.
You didn't think that the shot which had been fired supposedly by Mr. Zeminski had been fired by Mr. Rosenbaum.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you heard a gunshot. You now know that was Joshua Zeminski based on watching the videos, right?
Yes.
But at the time, you didn't think that was Joseph Rosenbaum firing that shot, did you?
No.
You knew Joseph Rosenbaum didn't have a gun, right?
Yes.
And you certainly would agree with me that you don't have the right to kill Joseph Rosenbaum for something Joshua Zeminski does, correct?
Yes.
When you heard that gunshot, you didn't know whether it was fired at you or up in the air or at Rosenbaum or anyone else, did you?
I heard it from behind me, but I didn't.
You didn't know where it was aimed,
Correct.
correct? You didn't feel it hit you, correct?
Correct.
You didn't hear it ricochet anywhere near you, correct?
Correct.
You received no indication that that gunshot was going to put your life in danger, correct?
I don't know.
There were gunshots going off all night long, weren't there?
Sorta.
Firecrackers,
Fireworks.
gunshots?
Yeah.
Hard to tell the difference?
Yeah.
Right after you kill Rosenbaum, there's 3 shots right after that, aren't there?
Yes.
From very close to where you were.
Yes.
Yet you don't turn and shoot anybody there after you hear those, did you?
No.
So, getting back to my original question, in this entire sequence of events, no one ever fired a shot at you, did they?
No.
After you kill Anthony Huber, shoot Gage Grosskreutz, and attempt to fire those 2 shots at the person who jumped at you, you got up and you walked away, didn't you?
Yes.
And you're about, what, a block away from the police line?
Yes.
And you know that police line's there because you're running towards it.
Yes.
And there's really nothing in the road between you and that police line, is there? After the shooting? Everybody
No.
scatters?
No, nothing in the road.
So you have a clear line of sight from where you did those shootings to those
To get
law
your butt to the
enforcement vehicles,
police.
correct?
Yes.
And you still have your AR-15,
Yes.
and the crowd is pretty much run after they hear the shots, right?
Yes.
You still have your medic bag,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
You never once offer to help anybody that you just shot,
But
correct?
you EMT.
I don't.
Correct, you don't?
Correct.
Anthony Huber is lying there over on the ground after you shot him once in the chest, correct?
Yes.
You didn't know at that point whether he was alive or dead, did you?
I didn't.
You never went over to check, did you?
No.
You didn't know whether it was possible to save his life at that moment or not, did you?
I didn't.
And you didn't even care. You just kept on walking. Correct?
I kept walking to get to the police line.
Gage Grosskreutz, right after you shoot him in the arm, is yelling, "I need a medic." Did you hear that?
Yes.
That's in the videos, isn't it?
Yes.
You don't do anything to help him, do you?
No.
You just decide to get out of there as fast as you can. Correct?
Yes.
But you've been screaming and hollering you medic all night. You there to help. That's what you said. You came there to help. You EMT.
If you had seen someone running up the street with a gun and the crowd was saying
And you
that
didn't help
person
save
just shot
nobody's
someone,
life.
like they were saying about you,
And had a medical bag.
you would have taken action to stop them yourself, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't have.
You're running around putting out fires, aren't you?
Yes.
A shooting's far more serious than a fire, isn't it?
Yes.
You took it upon yourself to do the things that the police and the fire departments weren't doing that night, correct?
I helped put out fires, but I wouldn't say that.
You went around offering medical service because you didn't think there were EMTs or EMS that would be able to come in there, correct?
Yes.
So you took it upon yourself to do the things that you didn't think the police or fire could do, correct?
Yes, you
I
did.
wouldn't
You
say I
said you
took it
was
upon
there
myself,
for that.
But I was helping people with first aid and putting out fires at businesses.
So if you saw someone running with a gun and everybody said, that guy just shot someone, you would have taken your AR-15 and tried to stop him, wouldn't you?
What's the relevance of this, Mr. Mayor?
It goes to the crowd's reaction to him, Your Honor. I think he would have reacted the same way.
Mr. Rittenhouse is on trial.
He shouldn't have
trial
took
is
the stand.
important in terms of it's a factor that bears on some of the counts as to what the surroundings were. Otherwise, the crowd is unimportant, and what he might have done vis-a-vis the crowd is, I don't see where we're going.
Understood. When you got back to that police line and what'd you say, they pepper sprayed you?
I believe so, but I don't remember it.
They told you to get out of the road
Yes.
because they were going in there to
Yes.
do what you hadn't done, which is to try and help the people that you just shot, right?
Yes.
And then you went back after that to the 59th Street car source, didn't you?
Yes.
And you told them that you just shot someone.
Yes.
Someone, meaning an individual person, correct?
I wasn't meaning individual. I was saying I just shot someone. I just shot someone.
You were told by Nick Smith that the police were coming to your location, to the 59th Street car source, right?
I don't recall that.
And yet, you decided to flee, didn't you?
No.
You didn't stick around for the police, did you?
I went to go turn myself into the Antioch Police Department
A couple of hours later.
an hour.
Actually, it wasn't a couple hours. He knows what time it was.
I'm asking the witness if the witness can answer.
Answer. Answer the question.
Go ahead, you can answer, sir.
It was a couple of hours later, wasn't it?
No.
And in between leaving that location in downtown Kenosha and getting to Antioch, you were looking at social media, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. My phone was dead.
You had heard from other people that your name was out there, right?
Later on in the evening, I believe I heard something, but no.
You knew that your picture was out there, right?
No.
You're telling me, as you sit here under oath, that after those shootings, between then and the time you turned yourself into the Antioch Police Department, you had no idea that there was social media out there with your picture and your name as the shooter.
I'm trying to recall.
We didn't
but
say you don't recall. Say no, because that's perjury.
I can't. I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Don't hurt yourself. Because this prosecutor is going to go for, in his closing to me, an impeachment of this witness.
I have no further questions.
I have nothing on that, Your Honor.
You may step down, sir.
And that's about it for today.
Your Honor, I have a witness. But before that
That's
call, that
it
witness,
for
I need
today.
to use the men's room.
Recess
About a
for the
5 to
end
10
of the
minute
day.
break. Please don't talk about the case during the break. You may either use the jury room or you may remain down here in the library.
Because when they come back, it's going to be a wrapping up into what, more motions or discussions between prosecutors and so that's it. This is the playback. I don't say this. uh, never have your client, if you're an attorney, your defense attorney, take the stand. The burden of proof is not on them, it's on the state. And Letha, you're right, I don't care who it is. I don't care who it would have been. If I'm an attorney, a defense attorney, and I'm defending my client, they're gonna have to sit their butt on the sidelines, hush, and let me do my job. Because that's what they paid me for. I don't need them up there speaking. If you're a defense attorney, do what you're getting paid to do. Defend your client. The burden of proof ain't on them. The judge had to say that repetitiously. Like he's talking to the prosecutors. Burden of proof is not on him. Again, I don't know what the defense strategy was. And Monica Mo, you said, is that privilege? I don't know what type of, sometimes you got to sit your privileged butt off to the side and shut your mouth. And that's what I would have done. I would have told my client, I'm not defending you if you take that stand. If you take that stand, I'm off the case. I'm off the case. I will walk away. That's it in a nutshell. I'm gonna walk away. Go behind, get on that stand. I'm walking. I'm off the case. I will leave. But this is nonsense. Sat up there and incriminated himself since he's taken a stand. I mean, they use in one term, in one regards, you know, where he had a right to exercise his constitutional rights to remain silent and not incriminate himself. Well, fine. But then he comes to trial and he incriminates himself. What? Then get up there crying. And his mom is crying. And again, Letha, you said the defense strategy was probably trying to paint him as green. No, he wasn't green. I mean, we've seen that video footage over and over again, and then his admission to his gun knowledge and his gun utilization. I mean, this is nonsense. Nonsense. Habeas corpus, everyone have their right to a trial and a day in court before jurors. They have a right to a hearing. That's fine. However, again, my perspective, whether you black, white, pink, polka dot, whatever, is it that I'm defending your behind, you gonna have to sit it down and shut it up. Period. Because you already know the prosecutor's gonna wipe the floor with your dairy air. They're gonna walk the dog on you. They're gonna wipe the street with your behind. You hit that stand. And like I said, unless you were a Tupac Shakur or a Phineas Shakur or one of the Black Panthers or somebody with a skill set who was quick enough, sharp enough, like a Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, somebody like that, who would have been sharp enough to be up there, you need to sit off to the side and hush. So again, I don't know what the defense strategy was. To me, it's not a strategy that I would ever utilize, because straight out of high school, in my first law class that I took, the attorney who was teaching the class, number one, your right to remain silent and call another attorney and keep your mouth closed until your attorney get there. Do that. Number two, don't incriminate. Don't ever self-incriminate. Sit your butt off to the side and hush. Let your counsel speak for you. when they took that stand, I knew they was gonna eat his butt up. And why wouldn't they? I mean, like I said, maybe defense is trying to get him a less sentence or whatever, humanize him. But you know, he was already in Wisconsin and shouldn't have had a firearm at all. Um, just www. How dumb can you be all the way around? Then I, I wouldn't have took the stand. I wouldn't have had my client take the stand. What? And the prosecutors are sitting up there asking you, and you're saying yes, yes, yes. So you shot him one time. Yes. And you shot him 3 more times. Yes. Now that happened. However, you didn't have to take the stand and say that because he was trying to claim he feared for his life. But after you shot the man the first time and he fell, there was no reason to shoot him 3 more times. He took the stand and said yes, yes, and yes. After the first bullet and he fell and he had no weapon on him, and the prosecutors drove that home. They made sure to drive that point home. The gentleman that he shot at, mine is one of them, had no weapons. And the one that did have the weapon did not have the weapon pointed at him. The one that had his pistol, who could have shot him at a distance instead of close range, didn't shoot at him at all. Neither did he have his weapon pointed at him. That was the one who testified, who said Kyle Rittenhouse was defending himself, and people thought, oh, that's it. It's the end of the case. They've made all these different memes, whatever. And I was thinking, no, it ain't done. It's far from over. And I would have defended myself. If I'm gonna have the pistol in my hand, and some shooting is going on, and I have to stand my ground and defend myself, then that's what I'm gonna do. You out there shooting a bunch of folk, and then you aim your weapon at me. I'm going to deal accordingly. Yeah. And when it comes to a Ahmaud Arbery case, that it is absolutely nothing the defense attorneys have been arguing that is sticking for me. Absolutely nothing. You know, and the jurors were shocked when those images were presented to them in court of Ahmaud Arbery's body, according to the reporters who were in the courtroom. They said the jurors were blown away because they didn't know it was as graphic as it was. And I don't think they were expecting that. So they got to see those graphic images. And to me, I said, Okay, the jurors then got to see these graphic images, and they said their reactions were just like shock and awe. I said that's gonna stick in their mind when they factor, when they give the verdict, when they have to make that decision. That's gonna be etched in their minds. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse, he shouldn't have taken a stand. You know, I I would have just let the prosecutors, burden of proof is on them, let them do what they're gonna do. Don't you get your butt up there, because you don't have to defend yourself. They need to prove what they need to prove. You sit your butt over to the side and hush. I don't care if they was trying to make him seem green, innocent, whatever. The bottom line is this: he was 17 years old. He's not incompetent. He doesn't have any disabilities. He was fully aware of what he was doing, and the prosecutors wiped the floor with his behind when he got up there and he was saying yes to the questions they were asking him, to the question that the prosecutor asked him. You just wipe the floor with your behind and prove that you were competent and in your right frame of mind to sit up there and say yes to all that stuff. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, well. And I will say this again. Authentication and digital forensics matters. Data integrity matters. And if you ever go to court, remember this, that not knowing the law is not a proof, or is not a argument for ignorance of the law. Is not an argument, nor is there any evidence to get you out of a situation. So, as these judges have been stated, it is our responsibility as US citizens to know the law. So, in light of that, let's make sure that we're going back over federal law and state laws. Federal law, state law, local law, that's where we reside. Let's make sure we know laws and city laws. Let's make sure that we and laws get amended, laws change all the time. So let's make sure that we stay abreast to the laws of the land. And we are fully aware of what our rights are as citizens. And if you should ever have to go to court and defend yourself, don't take the stand. Let the prosecutors prove their case. Don't self-incriminate unless you are, again, one of those really sharp people. Like I said, Tupac Shakur did excellent when he took the stand on his behalf when he was living. Afrina Shakur, his mother, we know she was a straight boss when she took the stand, got herself and Joseph out of prison without being an attorney, but she was educated in terms of a student of knowledge and information. Black Panthers, they was solid in terms of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Okay, if you don't fall in the category of being those type of people that are solid enough and had a wherewithal to just come back, sit yourself over to the side. And even sometimes if you do, you still need to sit over to the side and instruct your defense team on what to do. Make them earn their pay. Don't you get up there, sit over to the side and tell them, is this, this, and this. Slide their butt some notes. Now, get on it. So, again, people, let's stay abreast to the laws. Let's stay vigilant. Let's stay conscious. Let's stay actively engaged. And let's make sure that the police and our elected officials are being held accountable for the shenanigans and foolishness, as well as the charades they attempt to pull, in the United States of America. Letha, he's 18 now. So aren't they trying the 3 African American minors who participated in killing the other minor in Miami as adults? Yes, they are. So he 18. I don't. So they should be charging him as such. So having said that, okay, everybody, again, stay vigilant. You all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. And I'm going to edit both the videos and drop the video in its entirety in the link below once the edits are done. Thanks so much for streaming. Have a pleasant night. Bye-bye, everybody. Stay vigilant.